إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. الله فهو المهتدي ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة وكل ضلالة. As we continue inshallah tonight with عالي الهمة and with building determinations, and we are getting closer to the end of this series, and we started last time talking about one of the characters of the person who seek or who wants to achieve the highest levels is the mandation and the obligation of seeking knowledge. It's the necessity of having the knowledge, and we already talked about that for some time before, but then we will talk about more. And knowledge is the guidance, and knowledge is the light that will show you the path in the darkness. And knowledge is important, and seeking knowledge is not like eating, and seeking knowledge is not and does not come easy. Knowledge is something that you have to suffer, and you have to strive, and you have to put the best of your effort and the best of your energy to try to achieve. But before I proceed with that, and we spoke last time about Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah and Ibn al-Jawzi rahimahullah, and what they had said about seeking knowledge and the honor of having the knowledge of the deen. Just to bring up 2 points before we proceed, and one of those is to remember and to inform you and remind you of what's happening to our Muslim brothers in Nigeria, and the slaughtering and the genocide that's been taking place in Nigeria against the Muslim Nigerians. And those are our brothers and sisters, maybe not in the blood, but in the aqidah and in the deen. So you need to remember those, and you need to do your best to remember them in your dua, and if there is a way to help them, go for it and take advantage of it. The other issue is a call I received last night from a brother who asked me if I had said that it was forbidden to donate to Haiti. And my response was that this is iftira, and this was a lie. And the issue, or me discussing this issue in the lectures I've given in the last week, are proof that I've never said that. And the brothers who contacted me asking me about the issue, they can testify as well that I never said that. But what I said is, or was, that they are priorities, that we as Muslims have priorities. And I never said it was forbidden to donate to Haiti. On the contrary, I encouraged. But I always said they are priorities, and they are Muslims who are more worthy, and they are Muslims who are perhaps needy as well. And those وَالْأَقْرَبُونَ أَوْلَى بِالْمَعْرُوفِ, and the closer ones and the relative ones and the kins are more worthy of the favor. So that's what I said. And if the assistance will go mainly to Muslims in Haiti, then those Muslims in Haiti fall under this priority that I'm talking about. But just giving the donation to Haiti in general, and the purpose, wallahu a'lam, يعني a lot of the purpose, or a lot of the reason that the brothers striving to do that, inshallah, to give a good image about Islam, I think such mentality needs to change. That's me personally. I think such mentality needs to change. يعني a few seconds on TV showing the Muslims donating, that's a great deal. But hours and hours and hours every day hammering the Muslims and trying to bring them down and trying to give the wrong image about Islam, obviously it's not the best technique and the best way of changing the image of Islam. That is wallahu a'lam, yani what I think. But I never said it was forbidden. I actually encourage some of the brothers, but I always mention that there are priorities. There are Muslims around the world who are more worthy of this help and more worthy of our money. And yes, I said 90 to 90% to 99% of the people live in Haiti are non-Muslims and deal with magic and voodoo, and that is one of the kabair. So that's what I said, and whoever changed my words have changed it before, and they've said it before when I said reciting on the graves and gathering in the house that bought new to recite Quran and all this bid'ah. I said it was innovation, and they went out to say that I say reading the Quran is innovation. That's what they went out to say. And when we said that making dua after every jama'ah, every salah, in jama'ah, making the dua, the imam makes the dua and the people, the musallin, say ameen after him, when we said that was bid'ah, people went out to say that we say dua is bid'ah. So, يعني نوكل أمرهم إلى الله والله المستعان. And this is part of the da'wah, as we always say, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات نسأل الله أن نكون منهم وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. So having patience in the da'wah is a must. Having patience in the da'wah is a must, and this is one of the things that these issues fall under. So if you hear that, someone saying, I said that, now you got the answer from my mouth. So tonight, inshallah, we continue with our topic and the importance of seeking knowledge. And we will mention some of the examples of those who suffered in learning and those who suffered to seek knowledge and to learn, and their names are still until today remembered, even if they have died long time ago. يقول الإمام الشافعي رحمه الله: حق على طلبة العلم بلوغ غاية جهدهم في الاستكثار من علمه. It's a must on those who seek knowledge to do their best and to reach the highest levels of efforts and to put the highest levels of effort for the sake of learning this knowledge and for the sake of gaining. والصبر على كل عارض دون طلبه. And to be patient with every challenge. Yani once you take the path of seeking knowledge, you need to be patient with every challenge, because the challenges are so many out there and everything tries to take you away from this path. So the path of knowledge, you will have to face a lot of challenges, and starts from your own family and until or go so far to the enemies. وإخلاص النية لله تعالى في إدراك علمه نصا واستنباطا. And you have to have the right intention, and you always have to remember your sincerity in seeking knowledge, why you're seeking it and for what reason. والرغبة إلى الله تعالى في العون عليه. And always ask Allah to help you in seeking this knowledge. Always ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help you, because you can have the resources and you can have the books and you can have the mashayikh and you can have the ulama and you can have the scholars right like next door maybe, or maybe inside your house. And these days we have. These days you can, on the computer you can, or on a CD or on whatever, you can have scholars. Yani you can have one of the scholars, all his lectures or all his books or all what he wrote or all what he thought. You can have it right in your house. Just the availability of the resources does not mean you will learn. Does not mean you will learn. That's why you have to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give you the courage. And you have to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give you the help. And you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give you the desire. Because if there is no desire, if there is no desire, then it's very difficult. Very difficult. Maybe it takes a click. Yani it takes a click on the mouse and you will be hearing one of the ulama. And yet, we don't do that. A lot of us don't do that. Why? Because we don't ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us that strength, to give us that desire. And this ilm is desire. And it's a shahwa. This ilm is a shahwa, as we will see, inshallah. قال أحدهم لا تحسب المجد تمرا أنت آكله لن تبلغ المجد حتى تلعق الصبر. And you don't think reaching the highest levels and the levels of honor and the levels where people will be pointing to you. Don't think reaching those levels like eating dates. And you know, eating dates or eating in general is easy, and it's not very difficult to eat. So he's saying, don't think that reaching those high levels is so easy like eating. You will not reach those levels until you lack patience. Yani he's giving you using figurative language. He's saying, don't think it's about eating. It's as easy as eating, reaching the highest level. You will not reach those levels unless you start licking the patience. You know, when you eat, at the end you start licking your fingers, and that is to eat the rest or to remove the rest of the food, and this is the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. But you have to deal with patience, and you have to have a lot of it once you take this path. قال ابن الجنيد ما طلب أحد شيئا بجد وصدق إلا ناله فإن لم ينله كله نال بعضه. No one puts the best effort, and no one strives, and no one is sincere in seeking knowledge and all of the knowledge, but will achieve it. Yani no one is sincere to reach a point or a level of knowledge, and he puts every effort he can and his best into it and his heart into it, but will reach it. Then he says, and if he can't reach it all, then he will definitely reach some of it. So at the end he's a winner. At the end he will gain something, and that is the knowledge that we're talking about. So let's see some of the examples how they sought knowledge and how they strived and how they were concerned about time, because seeking knowledge and time go together hand by hand. Because the more time you have, the more knowledge you can gain. The more time you dedicate for seeking knowledge and learning, the more you're going to absorb, and the more you're going to add to your treasures. So from one of the characters of those who want to take this path, and some of the now I'm saying this not for the ulama, I'm saying this to all of us. This is seeking knowledge is to all of us. Yani you don't say, well, I don't want to be a student of knowledge, or I don't want to have this influence. This is knowledge you learn most important for yourself to be saved from the hellfire, and to know how to worship your Lord, and to know how to practice your deen. That is very important. That's what we're talking about. And once you learn yani furud al-kifaya and furud al-ayn, and you know the mandatory and what's mandated on you, then to reach those levels of high himman and high determinations that we have established, then you start seeking more and you start learning more. But there is a limit where everyone and every Muslim man and woman are obligated, okay? Everyone is obligated to learn and to reach that level, and that is furud al-ayn, as we said. So one of the characters of those people who take this path, they are so concerned about time. They are so concerned about time. We're talking about seconds and minutes. So jealous to waste any minute. Usually you're jealous for a woman. If you have a wife, you might be jealous that someone's gonna look at her. But those people were jealous for their time. They don't want to waste this. They don't want to waste this time. They don't want to let 1 second or 1 minute or 1 hour of their life pass without taking advantage of it. And when I tell you some of their examples, you will just be, I would say, shocked, and most probably we're all going to be ashamed. قال فطالب العلم شره ونهم. The seeker of knowledge, the student of knowledge, always have a lot of desire. شره شره usually is mentioned to a person who wants to eat everything. Okay? Someone who is greedy, wants to eat everything. But the student of knowledge wants to eat everything and wants to get everything, but not food. Or actually it's the food of the hearts and the minds. Ilm. A book he wants to read. A tape he wants to hear. A lecture he wants to listen. A meeting he wants to attend. Any place and any opportunity and any chance there is seeking knowledge and there is adding more knowledge to him and to his mind and to his heart, he's running after it and he wants to take advantage of it. وشهيته منتبهة جدا وحريصة على أن يخترف من العلم يشرب من بحور العلم ولا يروم. يعني his desire and his appetite is huge. His appetite is so open. His appetite is unlimited. The more he drinks from the oceans of knowledge, is the more thirsty he gets. He wants to learn more. And this is something that you will learn. That once you learn more, you realize that what you know is less. The more you learn, the more you realize your ignorance. The more you learn, the more you want to learn. This is the deal with knowledge. Not like other stuff. And the more you have, a lot of stuff, that's it. The more you eat, the more you get full. And you reach a point where you can't eat anymore. What with ilm is the more you take, the more you have intake, the more you want. And you keep taking and taking. لأنه يشتاق إلى المزيد فلا يقنع بحد محدود. So the point is, he wants the one who's interested in ilm, and the one who's focused, and the one who wants to strive, because knowledge is that vehicle that will take you to the highest levels, and that will take you to Arsh al-Rahman, as the throne of Allah, as we have said. So he doesn't waste any time. وألسنة مهذبة لا تقع في لغو ولا مهاترة كيف لا وقد شغلت نفسه بالحق فأشغلها عن الباطل. And tongues, tongues that very disciplined, tongues that always doesn't get involved with backbiting and with wasteless talk and with nonsense. Always tongues that focus to learn. And when it says something, is to learn, is to gain some benefit. كيف لا وقد شغلت نفسه بالحق. Why not? If he has these characters, يعني he's so concerned about every minute, even the motion of his tongue, he's so concerned about. So he's saying at the end, why not? And his soul is busy with knowledge. His soul is busy with knowledge. فشغلها بالحق عن الباطل. As a result, since it's busy with knowledge, and knowledge is the truth, definitely the soul is busy with seeking with the truth, so it's so unaware of the batil. And waste, and nonsense, and backbiting, and all these things, and the diseases of the tongue, all that is batil and false. So if the self and the mind and the heart are busy with the truth, then there is no space for the batil. There is no time for it to waste. And that is something we need to pay attention to that. So we will see some of the examples, as one of them said, وحدثتني يا سعد عنهم فزدتني جنونا فزدني من حديثك يا سعد. يعني the more you learn, the more you hear about these people, the more you want to know. Even as I have already mentioned, that you're going to hear some stories that will shock you, and that will make us ashamed of ourselves, yet we want to hear more. Maybe we can learn, and maybe we can reflect, and maybe we can focus more. كرر علي حديثهم يا حادي فحديثهم يجلي الفؤاد الصادي. يعني reminding ourselves of them and repeating and talking about them and their lives and what they did will remove that trust of our hearts. Will wash and cleanse our hearts and minds that have rusted because of what's around us and the life that we had chosen for ourselves. حرص عمر بن الخطاب على طلب العلم. عمر بن الخطاب رضي الله عنه was so concerned about seeking knowledge, and he used to be a partner with one of the Ansar. And he had a neighbor, one of the Ansar. So what the agreement between them was, and they used to live like away from where the masjid of the Prophet ﷺ, so it was hard to commute every day. So the agreement that he did with his neighbor, that one day the neighbor will take care of both business, his own business and the business of Umar bin Khattab, and Umar will go to the Prophet ﷺ, spend the day with him, take from the wahi, learn from the sunnah, see what the Prophet ﷺ recommends and what he forbids. Then he'll go back and teach his neighbor. Then the next day, Umar radiallahu anhu will stay to take care of the business, and the neighbor will go to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and to accompany him and to hear what he has to say. So you can see how they were concerned in balancing in their time, يعني, and balancing between life and between the akhirah, to seek the knowledge and to learn. Okay? Because one day with the Prophet ﷺ and missing on that day, that's a lot of knowledge. That's a lot of knowledge. So they were concerned, radiyallahu anhuma, about doing that. Ibn Abbas, radiyallahu anh, and I have mentioned his story from before, radiyallahu anhuma, how when the Prophet ﷺ died, remember he had a friend from Al-Ansar, and he said, he tells his friend, let's go and seek the knowledge and ask the companions of the Prophet ﷺ. There are too many today. So let's ask them what they heard from the Prophet ﷺ, so we can learn and we can remember it. And he was young. So the Ansari said, يعني, who gonna care about you, Ibn Abbas? And they are the biggest of the Sahaba are available. And who gonna come to ask you now? And they are huge Sahaba. Umar and Abu Bakr and Ali and Uthman and all these Sahaba still alive. So the Ansari left him, and Ibn Abbas dedicated his life from that point to learn from the Sahaba of the Prophet ﷺ, to the point where he will go to the one of them and find him at time of Qaylula, yani he's taking a nap for Dhuhr, and he will sit and maybe fall asleep at the doorstep, waiting for this Sahabi to come out so he can ask him about the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. And then after a while, and after time passed, and after those Sahaba died, and how the people start gathering around Ibn Abbas, Habrul Ummah. This Ibn Abbas is one of the greatest scholars of this Ummah, and one of the greatest Sahaba of this Ummah. The Prophet ﷺ put his hand on his chest and he made dua for him. Allahumma allimhu faqihu fi din wa allimhu at-ta'wil. Oh Allah, give him the knowledge of fiqh of the deen and teach him the tafsir. So that's why he was like that. So the Ansari passed one day and he saw how the students of knowledge, all like so much traffic around and crowded around Abdullah bin Abbas, trying to take knowledge from him. So he said, ذاك الصبي كان أعقل مني. This man and this young man was wiser than me. And he's pointing to Ibn Abbas. So you can see how the concern of Ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhuma left him remembered. And there is no book, but you will find no book of fiqh, no book of tafsir, no book of aqidah, but you will find Ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhu. الشافعي رحمه الله is another example. قال الشافعي حفظت القرآن وأنا ابن 7 سنين وحفظت الموطأ وأنا ابن 10. He memorized the Quran, Ibn Shafi'i rahimahullah, when he was 7 years old. 7 years old. And a lot of us are, يعني the mushaf is so available, and you can have a mushaf these days in every second of your life. يعني if you're driving, you can play it. If you're in a waiting room, you can pick a pocket mushaf and read in it. You can have it on your phone. You can have it on whatever the iPod they call. You can have it anywhere. And yet even the mushaf now, you don't have to carry the whole thing. You can it comes in 30 juz', and small pieces, small few papers. And yet we are lazy and we don't make the effort to learn and to memorize. And some of us, their job, maybe they have to drive 5 and 6 and 7 hours every day. And yet throughout that, they might not take advantage of this time. So take advantage of every minute of your life. And that is an opportunity. And trust me when I say it, take advantage of it now before it's too late. So he memorized the Quran when he was 7 years old. And he memorized the Muwatta, Muwatta, the big book of hadith for Imam Malik, when he was 10 years old, رحمهم الله أجمعين. يقول لما ختمت القرآن دخلت المسجد فكنت أجالس العلماء وكنت أسمع المسألة فأحفظها ولم يكن عند أمي ما تعطيني أشتري به قراطيس فكنت إذا رأيت عظما يلوح آخذه فأكتب فيه فإذا امتلأ طرحته في جرة كانت لنا قديم. He said, after I memorized the Quran, I started going to the masajid to take the knowledge and to listen to the scholars and to learn from them. And I used to hear the mas'ala, يعني the piece of knowledge, and I will memorize it. But the students of knowledge always right. The students of knowledge always right. So he said, my mother was not rich because he was an orphan. So my mother could not afford to buy me and paper, to write on. So I used to wait for anyone to throw what they had, so I will jump on it and write. You can write on the back of it, and he saved it, all of it, in a jarra, in a bowl or whatever. But the point is, he did not, being poor, and his mother could not afford for him to buy notebooks, if we could say, or books to write in, that did not stop him from writing and from learning. So learn from him. يقول ابن أبي حاتم سمعت المزني, now listen to this, يقول قيل للشافعي كيف شهوتك في العلم. Shafi'i rahimahullah was asked, tell us about your desire for knowledge. Shahwa, desire. A lot of people have desires in different things. Some people have desires for money. Some people have desires for food. Some people have desire for beauty. Some people have desires for homes or whatever business. Some people have desire for ilm. So they asked him, how is your desire for ilm? كيف شهوتك للعلم؟ قال أسمع الحرف, يعني الكلمة, أسمع الحرف مما لم أسمعه فتود أعضائي أن لها أسماعا تتنعم بها كما تنعمت أذناي. يعني look, he says, my desire for ilm is I hear the word, يعني something new in the deen. He hears something new he never heard before. When he hears it, because now something new, he wishes that every part of his body has ears, so each part can enjoy what he's hearing, the new stuff, the way his ears enjoyed it. Look how they think. He would wish if every part of his body would have ears, its own ears, so it can enjoy that information when it's coming in, the way that he enjoyed it when he heard it with his own ears. Alright? So يعني his desire that was taking over his heart was this, knowledge. Give me more يعني. وسئل كيف حرصك على العلم? How much are you concerned about learning? يعني how much effort would you put? قال حرص الجموع المنوع في بلوغ لذته للمال. يعني how much you're concerned about learning? He said the concern of الجموع المنوع. الجموع يعني الذي يجمع المال, والمنوع لا يعطيه لأحد. So حرص الجموع المنوع, جموع المنوع is a description of a man who's always concerned about collecting money, collecting and saving, collecting and saving. He doesn't say now everything is intake, money. So he's saying my concern for knowledge is like the concern of this person. All I want is knowledge, just give me more and more, give me. Alright, that's his concern. وقيل فكيف طلبك له? If this is your concern, how do you seek it? يعني what kind of mentality and what kind of psyche you have when you try to seek knowledge? قال طلب المرأة المضلة لولدها ليس لها غيره. He said, when I seek knowledge, I have the mentality of the woman who's looking for her son, that she lost him, that's the only son she has. So imagine a woman who only has one son and he goes missing. يعني maybe it happened to some of us. We're going to a meeting, Salat, al-Eid, or mall, or whatever, and the kid drifts away, goes away, he sees something, so he runs to see it, and you're like, so go like crazy. Okay? So that is how he's concerned about seeking knowledge. How he seeks knowledge, what kind of mentality he has when he seeks knowledge and mood, is a woman who lost her son, the only son she has. So how she will be looking for it? She'll do everything she can, like crazy. Like try here and there and in and out and calling and asking. And, all right? So that's how much he was concerned about seeking knowledge. Muhammad ibn Salam, هذا شيخ, يعني one of the teachers of Imam al-Bukhari. Okay? His concern about time. I was talking about concern about time and how much they did not waste a minute but in learning something new. He said كان في حال الطلب جالسا في مجلس الإملاء. When he was a student and the teacher is telling them the hadith and whatever, he was writing. Okay? He was writing. And a student of knowledge without a pencil, worth nothing. So he was writing, فانكسر قلم. While he's writing, the pen he was writing with broke. So now he wants to go and find another pen and all that, or pencil, whatever they were using, you know what they were using. فأمر أن ينادى قلم بدينار فتطايرت إليه الأقلام. He's writing and his pen broke. He didn't have pen, but we're gonna say it's pen. Broke, so now he can't use it. And by the time he go and get another one or buy another one or fix this one, it's gonna take some time. He will miss. Yani the teacher is not going to stay quiet and wait for him. So once that broke, right away, he asked someone to call that he's willing to buy a pen for a dinar. Yani pay a dinar. Dinar is a lot of money for a pen. It's like saying, for example, $100 for a pencil. For example, yeah. So of course, when you say $100 for a pencil in a classroom, فقالوا فتطايرت إليه الأقلام. So when he asked that person to announce who's willing to sell his pencil for or his pen for a dinar, they said فتطايرت إليه. So the pen started flying at him from every direction. So the point is, he sacrificed the money for the ilm. He was so concerned about that time, he did not want to waste it without being able to write from the teacher. And Imam Ahmad rahimahullah, Imam Ahl Sunnah, when a person saw him, and he achieved the highest levels in ilm. Everyone knows him, a point where he reached to be called and deserving it to be Imam Ahl Sunnah, the Imam of Ahl Sunnah. After the fitan that he had to go through, and he was patient, perseverant, a man saw him with a mihbara. Mihbara, that bottle that has ink in it, and they dip the feather in it and they write. So he told him, Ya Imam, ما زلت مع المحبرة. You reach the levels that no one reached before, and you're still holding like you want to write something. Your knowledge is, you know it all very much. طبعا he didn't, but exaggeration here. He said ما زلت مع المحبرة. المحبرة, that's the bottle of ink. فقال الإمام أحمد نعم مع المحبرة إلى المقبرة. He said yes, with the محبرة إلى المقبرة. I'll continue holding this محبرة and writing the ilm until they put me in the grave. He lived for that. So always concerned and always striving and always learning. قال الذهبي رحمه الله قال علي بن أحمد الخوارزمي قال ابن أبي حاتم كنا بمصر. This is ابن أبي حاتم. كنا بمصر 7 أشهر لم نأكل فيها مرق. Now they're out and seeking knowledge. Ibn Abi Hatim out seeking knowledge. So he said, with the group of people with him, we were in Egypt for 7 years. Okay? For 7 months. We were in Egypt for 7 months. We did not eat maraqa. Maraqa cooked food. They didn't get chance to eat cooked food. All dry food, fruits, vegetables, whatever. But they did not have chance to eat cooked food. يقول نهارنا ندور على الشيوخ وفي الليل ننسخ ونقام. Okay? At daytime, we're running around to the mashayikh, to the ulama, taking from them. So we don't have time. One circle ends, we jump to the next circle of knowledge. This and that. That's what we do during the day. And during the night, we copy and we compare. So they were busy, they did not have time to cook. فذهبت أنا ورفيق لي إلى شيخ فقالوا هو عليل. So he said an incident happened that when he went with one of his friends to one of the shuyukh to take his knowledge from him. So they said he was sick. He wasn't able to give that lecture. فرجعنا فرأينا سمكة أعجبتنا فاشتريناها. So when we were going back home, waiting for the next lecture, we saw a fish. We liked it, so we bought it. To cook it. فلما صلنا إلى البيت حضر وقت مجلس بعض الشيوخ. So when we got home, it was time now for the next lecture, next scholar too. So we put the fish and we rushed. So we got so busy for 3 days we could not cook it. The same thing. They did not have that opportunity to cook it because they're busy seeking knowledge. فقال فمضينا فلم تزل السمكة 3 أيام وكادت أن تنتهي فأكلناها نيئة ولم نتفرغ لشويها ثم قال لا يستطاع العلم براحة الجسد. He said when after 3 days we did not even have an opportunity to cook it. We didn't have any time, so we ate it raw. So it won't go bad. يعني they did not want to waste. So they ate it raw. And then he said, لا يستطاع العلم براحة الجسم. You cannot seek knowledge and you cannot achieve levels of scholars and levels of students of knowledge with the comfort of your body. And you cannot be comfortable and knowledgeable. Just it doesn't work. You have to strive and you have to struggle. أبو الفرج غيث بن علي التنوخي الصوري وحدثت عنه أنه كان يحاسب نفسه على الأنفاس. Okay? This Abu al-Faraj was known, يعني some of the people who knew him, they said he used to hold his, يعني he used to hold himself accountable for his breath. يعني how many times he breathed. So aware of not wasting it and not wasting any time. So يقول, يعني who's talking about him, ولا يدع وقتا يمضي عليه بغير فائدة إما ينسخ أو يدرس أو يقرأ وينسخ شيئا كثيرا. حدثني عنه شيخنا أبو الفرج الإسفرايني وهو من تلامذته أنه نزل يوما إلى داره ورجع فقال فقد قرأت جزءا في طريقي. يعني he would not waste a minute without either learning, reading, writing, doing something. يعني one of his students said he left his house and he came back, so he told his student in that trip, يعني leaving and coming back, I read a book or a chapter in a book. Right? So taking advantage of every minute. قال وحدثني المؤمل بن الحسن أنه رأى سليمان حفي عليه القلم. يعني he saw this man that his pencil cannot write anymore. His pen. يعني the same thing, broke or needs to be fixed. فإلى أن قطه جعل يحرك شفتيه. So until he fixed it, he was moving his lips. يعني in remembering, in memorizing, in mentioning Allah, whatever. But he did not want to waste that moment of fixing that pen. But he was moving his tongue. And you can do that. You see, a lot of writing and a lot of mechanical work that we do is mechanical. And at the same time you can use your mind and you can use your tongue while you're doing it. So take advantage of it. Okay? So the time he was fixing that pen, he did not want to waste, but he started remembering or saying something with his tongue. وصف ابن ناصر الحافظ أبا طاهر السلفي رحمه الله في طلب العلم تحصيل العلم بكلمة واحدة فقال كأنه شعلة نار في التحصيل. يعني when describe Abu Tahir al-Salafi, he said, you want me to describe him in seeking knowledge? He was like شعلة, torch of fire. You know the torch continues to burn. So he's so active. يعني he doesn't. You see the torch when it's on. There is no seconds that it's cold and يعني if it's gonna be on for 2 hours, it's gonna be on for 2 hours. It's gonna be hot for 2 hours. Don't say there are a few seconds here and there I can stick my hand and it's gonna be cold. That's how they were. When they seek knowledge, all the time, not wasting a minute. وكان الخليل بن أحمد الفراهيدي يقول أثقل الساعات علي ساعة آكل فيها. He said that the most difficult times for me are the times where I have to eat or when I have to eat. Why? Because he has to stop learning. Yani those are the worst time for him, when he has to sit and eat. Why? Because it's going to take him away from knowledge. It's not even over yet. كان عثمان الباقلاني دائما ذكر الله فقال إني وقت الإفطار أحس بروحي كأنها تخرج لأجل اشتغالي بالأكل عن الذكر فكان يجلس يكتب الحديث وتأتي أخته تلقمه في فمه. This Uthman al-Baqillani, he was always يعني busy remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he said and learning. So he said the worst time that I feel my ruh is coming out of my body is when I sit to eat, because I have to stop. Sometimes that he will have to eat, but he would not. He will continue with the ilm. He's so into it that he would not stop, to the point where his sister will come and put some food in his mouth. It's like a baby. That's how much. That's why they remember. That's why we know them. That's how Allah preserved and protected this deed. كان داود الطائي يستف الفتيت فما كان يأكل لقمة الخبز الكبيرة وإنما كان يستف الفتيت فيضع في يده ويتناوله بلسانه فيقول بين سف الفتيت وأكل الخبز قراءة 50 آية أكسب 50 آية وأوفر هذا الوقت. Where are we? Where are we يعني? Why we are surprised to see how Allah made this ummah so honorable before, and now we lost all that. Look how far we're from those. And Abu Dawud, they're telling you that it's time to eat. He did not eat the bread. He used to live off the crumbs of the bread. So he'll hold in his hand, and while he's learning, he will lick it. Because he said, I compared between the time of doing that and the time I have to put the bread, a whole piece, and chew it. Because when you lick it, there is no chewing. It's right in. Alright? You lick it and it goes down there. But if you want to put the piece of bread, you have to chew it. So he used to lick the food, يعني the crumbs of the bread, instead of eating the bread. And the reason for that, he said, because I measured the time between licking it and chewing it, I found there is enough time to recite 50 ayah. So I wanted to recite those 50 ayah and save the time. I don't know يعني. ابن عقيل الحنبلي رحمه الله he says وأنا أقصر بغاية جهدي أوقات أكلي حتى اختار سف الكعك وتحسيه بالماء على الخبز لأجل ما بينهما من تفاوت المضغ. ابن عقيل، هذا ابن عقيل الحنبلي أبو الوفاء أظن، وفاء بن عقيل. They said that he wrote a book, encyclopedia يعني. It's called الفنون, the arts. يعني he wrote in it everything in 700 volumes. 700 volumes. Actually, I think there are 2 volumes already out for the people. You know, those were مخطوطات يعني, big papers. But 2 of them already produced, so you can have 700 volumes. He wrote in it everything. So he said he used to eat the cake, يعني الكعك, and the crumbs of the food, and put the cake in the water. So when he puts it in his mouth, there is no need to chew. He said because chewing will waste time. That's how much they were concerned. Maybe we can do that. But just see how much they valued time, and how much they knew every minute that goes never comes back. And every hour that passes of your life, there is no way to a return. So very important. يقول شعبة إني لأذكر الحديث يفوتني فأمرض. شعبة بن الحجاج. You remember شعبة? If you remember the story that I told you before, when he heard Ibn Israel mentioning a hadith, and he had to go to from Al-Basra to Mecca to Medina, and then he ended up back in Al-Basra. Yeah. So he said, I try to remember the hadith. Yani hadith he knew. Sometimes it comes to his mind, he can't remember it. And those people, when they talk about remembering a hadith, that means the whole thing. Yani. Chain with hadith, with words, with everything, even with punctuation. Yani. He said, sometimes I try to remember the hadith, I can't remember it. I get sick. He'll get sick because of the waste. من أين لك هذا العلم كله؟ قال بنفي الاعتماد والسير في البلاد وصبر كصبر الحمار وبكور كبكور الغراب. They asked شعبة بن الحجاج, He said, how you have all this knowledge and how you manage to learn all this, to have all this knowledge that people, يعني when you taught hadith, شعبة قال بنفي الاعتماد. First, I denied depending on anyone. I was self-sufficient. I only depend on myself. والسير في البلاد, and traveling to the countries, traveling everywhere. And now we don't. وصبر كصبر الحمار, and patience like the patience of a donkey. You have to have a lot of patience to seek knowledge. وبكور كبكور الغراب. بكور يعني اللهم بارك لأمة في أبكارها. البكور, the time after Fajr. This time is blessed, and the Prophet ﷺ made dua for this ummah, for Allah to bless this time after Fajr. So he said, and taking advantage of this time after Fajr, just like the ghurab, the crow, because the crow in the يعني most probably what wakes you up is a crow in the backyard. يقول شعبة ما رأيت أحدا قط يعدو إلا قلت إما مجنون أو طالب حديث. He said, I've never seen someone jogging, running. يعني you're walking in the street and you see someone running, passing you. So he said, every time I'll see someone running, I will say either a crazy person or a student of hadith. And he's looking for a hadith. Why? Because they knew the importance of time. He couldn't waste it just chilling, walking slowly, walking ruwaida. That's for Abu Bakr. من لي بمثل مشيك المدلل تمشي الهوينة وتجي في الأول يعني. Abu Huraira will walk, Abu Bakr will walk slowly, but always he's first. Right? And you talk about Abu Bakr, you talk about softness and gentleness. And usually, if you're in a race, you got to be fast. But somehow he's always the first. Right? يقول أبو إسماعيل هروي الأنصاري المحدث يجب أن يكون سريع المشي سريع الكتابة سريع القراءة وبعض العلماء قال يزاد سريع الأكل. Say المحدث, muhaddith is the scholar of hadith, but in general the student of knowledge has to have three characters. يعني some of his characters قال هروي سريع المشي, he has to walk fast, there's no time to waste. He has to write fast, and he has to be able to read fast. Some of the ulama added, and he has to be able to eat fast. No time. علم is علم. قال صحنون لا يصلح العلم لمن يأكل حتى يشبع. يعني if you want to be a student of knowledge, make sure that you don't eat until you're full, because that will take a lot of time. To get the level where you're completely full takes a lot of time. So if this is one of your characters and you want to seek knowledge, it's going to be a conflict of interest يعني. قال حافظ السيوطي حدثنا شيخنا الكناني عن صاحب الخطابة أسرع أخ العلم في ثلاث الأكل والمشي والكتابة. أسرع أخ العلم في ثلاثة المشي والأكل والكتابة. So you have to walk fast, you have to, but the point is, the bottom line is, don't waste time. Anything in your life that doesn't bring benefits, you want to avoid. Any gathering, anything, any talk, any walking, any driving, any watching, anything that you're not learning and you're not having some intake of knowledge in, it's a waste of time. You need to avoid it, and you need to, sometimes you have to go through it, but you need to rush through it. You have to finish it very quick. A gathering, that's fine. I have to go, I'll go. Few minutes and out. Don't waste, especially if it's a gathering that there is no intake of knowledge. So that is what they're trying to tell you. Muhammad Lamin Shinqiti rahimahullah, one of this time and one of this age, some of them said about him هذا الرجل قذفت من القرون الأولى واستقرت في القرن الرابع عشر. محمد لمين الشنقيطي عنده يعني one of the ulama of this time, the 14th century al-Hijri, but some of them said he was like what's قذيفة, a rocket يعني fired from the first centuries to this century. يعني the mentality, the intelligence, the ilm, whatever he had, it's the mentality of those from before. But he lived amongst us. And he has his famous book, Tafsir Adwa al-Bayan, tafsir Quran bil Quran. He gave tafsir for the whole Mus'haf, for the whole Quran. I think he couldn't finish it, and one of his students finished it. But he gave tafsir of the Quran using the Quran. And he will give you tafsir of an ayah from different ayat. That's how the tafsir. And the tafsir of the Quran comes in different things. Their ulu al-himma and their energy in traveling. جابر بن عبد الله الصحابي رضي الله عنهما رحل مسيرة شهر إلى عبد الله بن أنيس في حديث واحد. Jabir, Sahabi, traveled to another Sahabi, Abdullah ibn Unais, for a whole month. He traveled to get one hadith from him. He heard that he knows the hadith. He heard it from the Prophet ﷺ, so he traveled the whole month to get the hadith directly from him. ورحل أبو أيوب الأنصاري من المدينة إلى عقبة بن عامر في مصر ليروي عنه حديثا. And Abu Ayyub al-Ansari traveled a month from Medina to Egypt, to Uqba ibn Amir, to take one hadith from him, because he heard that Uqba heard this hadith. So he traveled from Medina to Egypt to get the hadith. They said that when he got to Uqba, he got his camel or whatever he was traveling on, and he tied it to a tree or to a post. When he heard the hadith, right away he came out, he untied it, and back to Medina. And they weren't traveling for سياحة يعني. قال أبو العالية رفيع بن مهران كنا نسمع الرواية عن أصحاب الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم ونحن في البصرة فما نرضى حتى نركب إلى المدينة فنسفعها من أفواهنا. Okay, Abu al-Aliya, he said we used to hear, we living in al-Basra, we used to hear a hadith from the Sahabi, يعني Sahabi so and so in Medina said so. We will not rest until we travel to Medina to hear this hadith. So concerned, so much. I told you, it's shahwa. It's the desire. I said some people have desire for money. Some people have desire for authority. Those people, their desire was this. Yani a lot of us and a lot of people, they hear about some historical monument somewhere. And they're interested in that, so their desire, they might even dream about it. They're so much driven by their desire that they have to go see it. Or they learn about a country, they have to go see it, and they plan for it. Those people the same, but their desires were different. A hadith. His desire a hadith. Okay? قال الحافظ ابن كثير في ترجمة الإمام البخاري رحل إلى سائر مشايخ الحديث في البلدان التي يمكنته الرحلة إليها وكتب عن أكثر من 1000 شيخ. Imam al-Bukhari traveled to every scholar of hadith he was able to reach, and he narrated and he heard hadith from 1,000 sheikh, from 1,000 sheikh. يعني الصحيح صحيح البخاري, it has about 6,000 hadith. He picked it up from 600,000 authentic hadith. Those are just the authentic, so imagine how much he knew beside that. Alright? الرازي رحمه الله يقول أول ما رحلت أقمت 7 سنين. And when he started seeking knowledge, he went someplace and he stayed 7 years. 7 years taking knowledge from the people there. ومشيت على قدمي زيادة على 1000 فرسخ. And I walked on my feet more than 1,000 farsakh. And I think he's the same one that he said, I counted 1,000 and after that I stopped counting. 1,000 farsakh. He walked 1,000 farsakh. Farsakh is 3 miles. So he walked more than 3,000 miles seeking knowledge. And he stopped counting after that. وخرجت من البحرين إلى مصر ماشية ثم إلى الرملة في فلسطين ماشية ثم إلى طرطوس ولي 20 سنة. He traveled all that and 7 years learning, and when going from Bahrain to Masr and all that, seeking knowledge. And he wasn't yet 20 years old. And you hear all this, you think, oh, he's 50 now. 20 years old. Yeah, learning. Look how much knowledge he attained when he was still 20 years. Let's talk about their situation, their economical conditions. يقول قائل يعني إن الفقيه هو الفقير وإنما راء الفقير تجمعت أطرافها. He's saying faqir, faqih يعني the one seeking knowledge, faqih is the same thing as al-faqir, يعني the poor person. Actually, he's saying it's the same word, but al-faqir, you know, ra looks like that, right? And al-ha looks like a circle. So he's saying إنما الراء تجمعت أطرافها. He said just the ra, يعني the word faqir and faqih. In faqir, you take the ra and you just connect the end of the ra to the beginning of the ra, it turns into faqih. So like he's exaggerating, but he's saying, you want to be faqih, you have to accept being poor. Yani working and seeking knowledge to the level that we're talking about, there's conflict of interest again. You cannot. Okay? You cannot. So it's very important. قل أحدهم قلت للفقر أين أنت مقيم. He's saying, I asked poverty, poorness يعني. I asked him, where you stay? Where you live? قال لي في عمائم الفقهاء. He said, poverty and poorness, said, I live in the turbans and العمامة of the scholars. إن بيني وبينهم لإخاء. There's a relationship between me. That's poverty saying there's a relationship between me and the fuqaha. وعزيز علي ترك الإخاء. And it's very difficult for me to leave them. So scholars have to suffer. Seeking knowledge gonna make you poor. And if you're not, alhamdulillah. قال عمر بن حفص الأشقر فقدنا البخاري أياما من كتابة الحديث في البصرة. One of the companions of al-Bukhari, he said in Basra, when he came to Basra to seek knowledge, we missed him. We couldn't find him. He was in Bukhari. We missed him for a few days, so we went to check on him. So when we got to his house, or to where he was staying, we asked him. He said, I don't have clothes to come out with. Bukhari. He didn't have one garment to come out with so he can listen to the scholar. Bukhari. And how many we got? فجمعنا له دراهم حتى اشترينا له ثوبا وكسوناه ثم اندفع معنا في كتاب الحديث. قال مالك لا ينال هذا الأمر حتى يذاق فيه طعم الفقر. Imam Malik said, you will not reach the levels of al-ilm until you taste or you have the taste of poverty and being poor. قال ابن القاسم أفضى بمالك طلب الحديث إلى أن نقل سقف بيته فباع خشبه. يعني Imam Malik was so busy in seeking knowledge, he got so poor to the point where he had to demolish the roof of his house so he can sell the wood. He had to bring down the roof of his house so he can sell the wood in it to make some money. That's how much they sacrificed. قال الوخش بن أبو علي الحسن كنت بعسقلان أسمع من ابن مصحح وغيره فضاقت علي النفقة وبقيت أياما بلا أكل فأخذت لأكتب فعجزت فذهبت إلى دكان خباز وقعدت بقربه لأشم رائحة الخبز فأتقوى بها. He said, I went to seek knowledge and I got so poor. I got so hungry that I was so weak to write anymore. So I ended up in front of a baker store, يعني a bakery, so I can just have the smell of the bread so it can يعني encourages me. ثم فتح الله عليه. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it easy for him. قال إمام ابن الجوزي لقد كنت في حلاوة طلب العلم ألقى من الشدائد ما هو عندي أحلى من العسل لأجل ما أطلب وأرجو كنت في زمان الصبا آخذ معي أرغفة يابسة فأخرج في طلب الحديث وأقعد على نهر عيسى فلا أقدر على أكلها إلا عند الماء فكلما أكلت لقمة شربت عليها وعين همتي لا ترى إلا لذة تحصيل العلم فأثمر ذلك عندي أني عرفت بكثرة سماع الحديث رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وأحواله وآدابه وأحوال أصحابه والتابعين. We finish with this. Ibn al-Jawzi rahimahullah, and you all know Ibn al-Jawzi and we've been talking about him a lot. He said, in my journey to seek knowledge, I had to go through a lot of hardships, but it was so sweet like honey. these hardships, because of what I'm learning and what I'm seeking and what I'm achieving. Then he said, when I was young, I used to take the dry food, yani the hard bread. The hard bread, no one can eat hard bread. Yani. He said, I would not be able to eat it unless I sit next to a river. So every time I take a bite, I have to take a sip of water. So it can soften that hard bread. They suffered. But again and again and again, their goal was, as long as I get that hadith, it's easy. Because usually you suffer in reaching your goal. But once you get the goal, every suffering after is sweetness. It's sweetness. You enjoy it and you look back and you say, wow, those days. And you appreciate it. So that's what he's saying. Because my goal and my concern was the knowledge, as long as I get it, everything in between is piece of cake. Or I should say, piece of hard bread. وعين همتي لا ترى إلا يعني he's suffering in that. Every piece of bread he has to take a sip of water. He's saying, and my mind and my heart and my eyes are always to the goal. Remember we talked about that. Always to the goal. All these burdens and barriers and everything that's trying to stop you from continuing, if you focus on them, you will not be able to cross them. And you're going to cross the first, maybe the second, then you get tired. But if your eyes and your heart always focused on Al-Arsh, Arsh Ar-Rahman, Firdaus, then everything inshallah will be easy and you will walk over them and you will cross them without even knowing that you went through them. فأثمر ذلك عندي أني عرفت بكثرة سماع الحديث رسول الله وحوال وآدابه. He said, and one of the reasons that helped me to be able to do that, the opportunity of hearing the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ and hearing how he lived and hearing how the Sahaba lived. So we learned, Imam al-Bukhari had to eat the leaves of the trees to survive sometimes. The leaves. Why not if the Sahaba did it? That's why he learned the hadith. If he's not going to practice what he's learning, what's the point? He knows that the Sahaba had to eat the leaves of the trees. He knew that the Sahaba, some of them would urinate. I think Sa'd would urinate on a piece of, they were so hungry that urinate, and then he will see that the urine is moving at something hard. Then he will realize it's a piece of bread. He'll go and dry it and clean it and cook it so he can eat it. That's the level. So if he knows the Sahaba went through that, if he knows the Messenger ﷺ went through that, he said that gave me a lot of help to be able to go through it myself. So this is knowledge. And as we said, reaching the goal and reaching the ultimate goal has to be with this knowledge that gives you the light and help you to achieve that goal by the permission of Allah. So ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us with that endeavor, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us that desire, the desire we have for the dunya, to give us the desire for this ilm, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the tawfiq. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.